Alright, so boom, turn me up, don't turn me down. We back at it with another video. Today we got hockey psychology when a hockey game sparked a riot. Now this video right here is a year old. I seen one of y'all have put the link in the description to this video. And I looked at the title, I'm like, hold up, a riot? Riot is an insane word, but let's go ahead and check out the video. Link in the description to the hockey psychology channel. Make sure y'all subscribe if y'all haven't already.
A wild night turned into a very dangerous situation in that city, and our Josh Elliott.
Nah, this gotta be Photoshop, there ain't no way.
Elliott has been tracking all of this.
What? This real for real?
Yeah, as we can see, I mean, it was a terrifying scene there in Vancouver. Angry fans obviously pouring out into the streets. Emotion heightened.
All of this should have never have happened. But when you get two franchises starting for a championship and a whole lot of bad blood and mind games, the emotions reach a new level that we see very rarely in sports. And when two teams hate each other as much as these guys do, and emotions get out of hand on the ice, sometimes it becomes a lot bigger than just a game.
What? The fans? I don't know. How do y'all feel about fans really getting involved? Like, damn, is it really that deep for real?
In 2011, there was one team who utterly dominated the NHL. That team was the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks finished with the best regular season record and the President's Trophy. Their skillful play, led by Daniel and Henrik Sedin, allowed them to become the top dog in the league. On the other side of the league, in the Eastern Conference, is the Boston Bruins. The Bruins were a solid physical team who got in your face to have success. Now, to get to this moment in a do-or-die Game 7, these two teams had to deal with an overwhelming amount of adversity. The Canucks faced the ultimate mental hurdle in the first round against the defending Cup champs, who were the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks knocked out the Canucks the previous season, so there was already a lot of bad blood between these two teams. The Canucks took the first 3 games and then proceeded to...
Look at his face and tell me that he ain't BSing. Like, he mean business. Look at his face.
Bad blood between these two teams.
The
Canucks took the first 3 games and then proceeded to lose the next 3, so the series went 7. With all the pressure in the world on the President Trophy Canucks, an epic collapse like this in the first round would likely be catastrophic for the organization and ultimately would lead to a complete overhaul. It would come all the way down to a Game 7 overtime to push this Canucks team over the hurdle. After that, they got by Nashville in 6 and San Jose in 5 to advance to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Really?
Now, what's important to note is that in that San Jose series, Vancouver's man advantage went 9 for 24 in the entire series. That's a sizzling 37.5%. San Jose wanted to get physical with the Canucks, but their mentality, according to defenseman Kevin Bieksa, which was basically let the Sharks push them around if they wanted to. The Canucks were confident that they...
What you mean let them push them around? Push them around if we wanted to. What you mean by that?
Had one of the best power plays in the world that year, and if you wanted to take stupid penalties, they were going to bury you. And that was exactly what they did in that series. On the other side is the Boston Bruins, who went 7 games with the Canadiens, swept the Flyers, and then won again in 7 games against Tampa. The hero in both rounds 1 and 3 for Boston was none other than winger Nathan Horton, a hulking power forward who had a knack for the big moments in this playoff run by scoring the Game 7 OT winner in round 1 and the series clincher in another Game 7 of round 3. That leads us to this series here, the Stanley Cup Finals between the Vancouver Canucks and the Boston Bruins. Game 1, Rogers Arena is in Vancouver, and this game couldn't get any closer. Big saves on both ends, tons of physicality with both teams trying to set the tone, and in doing so, key defenseman for the Vancouver Canucks and Dan Hamhuis tries to throw a huge hip check on Milan Lucic, and as a result, he just ends up crumpling. When Hamhuis laid that hit, he would tear his groin right off the bone, and that means he was completely done for the series. A huge blow to the blue line for the Canucks, but the bigger storyline was Alex Burrows apparently biting the finger of Patrice Bergeron in a scrum. The cameras caught the interaction between...
He bit his finger?
Apparently biting the finger of Patrice Bergeron in a scrum. The cameras caught the interaction between the two, but it was unclear to the NHL whether or not Burrows actually did bite his finger. However, many fans found it hard to believe that a player like Patrice Bergeron would have lied about something like that. Either way, Burrows didn't receive any discipline, and he was cleared to play in Game 2.
Am I tripping?
Rafi Torres of the Canucks would be the only guy to find the back of the net in this game, and the Canucks took a tight Game 1 on home ice. The mind games and hate had officially been ignited. Then the presence of Alex Burrows was felt big time in Game 2, as this one included more scoring, but was once again another tightly contested bout. Burrows would score the first goal of the game, and after both teams went back and forth to get all squared up at 2, this game would require OT. As soon as the puck drops, Daniel Sedin makes a heads-up play to Burrows to spring him on a quick rush. Burrows fakes the slap shot, gets Thomas out of the blue paint, and then tucks a wraparound to end the game.
Ooh.
A player who was arguably not even supposed to be in this game 2 ends up being an integral part to the result. The Canucks were now up 2-0, but both games were extremely tight and honestly could have went either way. This set up a crucial Game 3. If the Canucks went up 3-0, this series was likely to be curtains. But if the Bruins found a way to win, it changes everything.
Okay, has any NFL, has any hockey team ever came back from 3-0? Because basketball, if I'm not mistaken, no team ever came back from 3-0. A team came back from 3-1 before. I don't feel like talking about it. But yeah, has any hockey team ever came back from 3-0 before though?
Early on, the Bruins looked to target Burrows, especially for his antics against Bergeron. A couple of solid hits and some trash talking raised the intensity of this game, but with only just a few minutes being burned in the first period, an innocent-looking rush would change the entire series.
Yo, his ass just got hit.
This one's a whole lot of nasty. Aaron Rome comes up and just delivers a crushing open ice hit.
After being a critical part of their run to get to this point, Nathan Horton would dish the puck to the wing and watch his pass as he enters the zone. Almost a full second after the puck is gone, defender Aaron...
I mean, why did he hit him like... He had like no reason to hit him that hard. For what?
Rome on the Canucks steps up and levels Horton with a high and late hit. The aftermath was hard to watch. Conscious, but no one was home. Horton had to be stretchered off the ice, and this hit completely changed the dynamic of the series. The Bruins rallied to score 8 goals, all against Vancouver's star goalie in Roberto Luongo. The Canucks poked the bear, and the bear woke up pissed off. Even winger Jeff Tambellini of the Vancouver Canucks felt that he'd never seen anything change so drastically in a series after that hit. Aaron Rome was suspended for the remainder of the series, and the Canucks were starting to do too much to try and make up for missing players.
Suspended for the rest of the series. Now it's like momentum for the Bruins. Now I feel like after that happened, that's why they went so crazy. Like, they seen their teammate like that. You know, you gotta go crazy. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? Do it for your teammate. I'm confused. Why he hit him so hard like that? Like, there was no reason to do that.
The Bruins steamrolled the Canucks 4-0 in Game 4, and the series shifted back to Vancouver, where once again, it was another extremely tight contest. Maxime Lapierre scored the only goal at 4:35 of the third when the puck bounced off the wall and caught Tim Thomas by surprise. After the Canucks won 1-0 and Luongo was named the first star of the game, he said this about Tim Thomas when asked about the lone goal in the game.
Comes from a weird angle, goes off Tim's body. Just how hard that is for
It's not hard if you're playing in the paint, so it's an easy save for me, but if you're wandering out and aggressive like he does, I mean, that's going to happen. So he might make some saves that I won't, but in cases like that, I mean, we want to take advantage of bounces like that and make sure that we're in good position to bury those.
Just pouring more gasoline onto the fire between
game?
these two
That's
teams,
crazy.
but
In the
it
Stanley
seemed
Cup
like the Canucks were
Finals?
getting sucked into the noise. As Luongo admitted afterwards, he wished that he wasn't as worried about what was going on the outside. With the Canucks now just being one win away from the Stanley Cup, everything started to fall apart. Players and members of the organization were starting to get ahead of themselves.
When we went to Boston for Game 6, we didn't have the proper focus. The parade route was getting planned, and which never was going to have it. So they was ready going to like Boston, like, man, we already got this in the bag. We gonna win, basically.
And proceeded to lose focus. But more importantly than that, the Bruins started to physically overwhelm the Canucks. Defenseman Kevin Bieksa said that it seemed like the Bruins defensemen had a mandate to make life hell on Vancouver's forwards. Whether it was a slash, cross-check, constant scrums, Bieksa admitted that they just didn't have the team to match up with that kind of physicality. The Bruins won Game 6 easily 5-2, and in the final minute of the game, Marchand proceeded to punch Sedin in the face multiple times with no retaliation.
And he's just taking it. Why is he not defending himself? Why is he just sitting there getting punched?
Marchand proceeded to punch Sedin in the face
what is going on right
times
now?
with no retaliation.
What?
That is a bad look for a team that was already called soft
even
and whose
trying to defend
toughness was in
himself.
question in this series. Even though the Canucks said they wanted to take punches to draw power plays, the power plays just didn't come, and the result was almost symbolic of what was happening. I mean, just look at this. Marchand and the Bruins are sending a message for Game 7, and no one is fighting back on the Canucks. That brings us to this moment here. The do-or-die Game 7 in Vancouver. With all the pressure in the world on the Canucks to close out this magical season on home ice, the first goal of this game means everything to both teams. The Canucks came out with energy and had multiple grade A chances, including this one by Daniel Sedin, but Tim Thomas remained the difference in this series. Multiple big-time saves early on gave the Bruins a chance to strike. A young Brad Marchand would throw a backhander into the slot, and Bergeron would bang at it through some legs to catch Luongo off guard and make it a 1-0 game. With every second that Vancouver spent chasing the game, the pressure only got more intense. It seemed like every time the Canucks came close to breaking through, Tim Thomas and the Bruins would find a way to come out unharmed. A Marchand wraparound goal followed by a Bergeron shorthanded tally in the second meant that the Canucks were slowly watching their dream slip from their hands. As the seconds ticked down, the Canucks and their fans would experience heartbreak while the Bruins celebrated in total elation. This series here would go down in history as one of the greatest battles the NHL has ever seen. With all the hate, drama, and intensity this series was filled with,
Nah, this would have been crazy to react to like in real time. Like, imagine something like this happening this year. Like, this would have been insane.
it would be one that fans would remember for a long time. Unfortunately, the most memorable part didn't even happen on the ice. After Game 7 ended, the city of Vancouver went berserk. It wasn't reflective of the Canuck fan base, but rather what can happen when a mob mentality reaches to a whole other level. A magical season for the Canucks ended in the most bitter way possible. This series showed just how much every inch matters in this sport, both physically and mentally. At any given moment, something can happen, and it can alter the entire psyche of your team. Give a guy 1 inch, and they will take a mile.
So the Canuck fans was basically over here going crazy because their team lost in the Stanley Cup? Is that what I'm getting?
The Canucks were the more talented team, but the Bruins and their physicality.
Okay, so he said the Canucks was the more talented team, but I feel like when they went to Game 6 in Boston, like they said, like they was already planning the parade route and all that, like they won. It was like they was getting like cocky in a way, you know? I feel like they wasn't locked in. I feel like if they was really locked in, they possibly would have won Game 6. You know what I'm saying? It ended it right there. And then you don't ever want to be in a Game 7 because at that point, it's heads and tails. Flip the coin. It's anybody's game in Game 7. You never know what could go wrong in Game 7. And it went wrong for the Canucks. That is insane, bro.
Grinded them down until they had nothing left. One bounce here, one different choice there, and the outcome of this series could have been
I definitely feel like this.
One bounce here, one different choice.
This right here changed everything. If my man, if number 29 didn't do what he did, I'm gonna say the Canucks possibly could have won the Stanley Cup that year. I feel like this changed everything. I feel like the Bruins was coming back in retaliation with wins. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they probably got more physical and all that during like the next couple of games, but I feel like they retaliation was, we got to win the Stanley Cup. You know what I'm saying?
There, and the outcome of this series could have been entirely different. To this day, the bad blood and mind games between the players involved in this series still live on. And although this hockey game would result into something everyone would like to forget, it was really symbolic of the series. For a series that had every element of the game that you both love and hate to see, how it ended is reflective of how the series went as a whole. And that was pure chaos.
That is insane. Just looking at this picture right here.
You both love and hate to see. How it ended is
Like, what? That is crazy. Look at this car right here, y'all. Smoke all around. Smoke going in your lungs. Shit. But hey, man, this was definitely a good thing to react to right here, because I would have never knew the Canucks and the Bruins had like a crazy ass rob going on. But definitely I want to react to more videos like this. I ain't gonna cap. Hey, this shit was crazy. But yeah, if y'all can, just leave the link to the video down below in the comments, because like I see y'all be like commenting down below, but it'd be way more easier, and like I know exactly what type of video y'all want me to react to when y'all leave the link. Because this video, somebody had left the link, I just clicked on it, saved it to my watch later, and, you know, I reacted to it later on. But yeah, just leave the link into anything hockey related y'all want me to react to and all that. Like I said, the playoffs is in a couple weeks. I'm gonna try my best to react to every single playoff game and all that. It's gonna be a grind, but it's gonna be a very good grind. Hopefully I enjoy the reaction, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one, man.